Welcome to Hanging Out with Hamza. I'm Hamza, and today I am hanging out with two guys that I had the pleasure of meeting recently. They are the two owners of Desnudo. It's a coffee truck located in Austin. They're just two great dudes who have built such a beautiful company, and I wanted to kind of learn further into what the origin story was and also the message behind it and what their overall purpose is behind Desnudo. So without further ado, thanks for listening and stay tuned. This is Hanging Out with Hamza. It's a passion project about passions and projects, where I interview some of the most interesting people in my life and learn about the things that they love. Thanks for tuning in. In today's episode, I have Juan and Sergio, owners of Desnudo Coffee, talk about their origin story, the true meaning behind Desnudo, and their all-encompassing mission to change the world. Gonna go ahead and pass it on to Juan to start his story and just let me know more about it.
So yes, we started Desnudo more as a passion project. We never thought we would call ourselves a company at some point. It was more, how do we do something we really like and have fun doing and we feel passionate about rather than seeing it as a job. And it all started mostly during COVID when Sergio was already living here in the US and he moved to Maryland. I was still working in Colombia. I went to college there and I did economics. All my life I wanted to study finance. And after 5 years of doing it, I really didn't feel as passionate as I thought I would be. It's funny because you always think you are supposed to know what you want to do all your life. And then 5 years in and I wanted to do something different. So that was kind of like the start of like the thought of starting something new. Hey, Hamza, I'm Sergio. And yeah, the passion project started when I moved to Maryland and I wanted to study law. I went back to Colombia and then I was like so excited to tell my brother that I wanted to study law. Our parents are lawyers, and so I was just thinking that it was something I could do in the United States. And then I said that to him and he said like, "Oh, you're crazy. You don't want to do that in your life." And then I was like, "Why?" And then he said, "You're the type of person that should, I don't know, be outside or something." I was doing construction before when I moved to California. So then he said, "Why don't you give some time to do something you like, something that you want to try?" I've been always passionate about like food and like something related. And so we tried to do something that was related to food. It was a bakery and the origins. Juan was not in the picture until he realized he wanted to do it to follow his own advice.
And I guess in terms of you were talking about you were in finance and you decided to kind of move over to this, that's a pretty large leap to go from finance to owning a coffee company. And I know that it is your passion project, which if you guys don't know by now, this podcast is about passions and passion projects. And so I delve further into why people are passionate about something and I try to learn about that subject through them, because usually the best teachers are other people who are passionate about what they're teaching, right? So I think it's always beautiful to experience that through people like yourself. And you have to be somewhat not only passionate but crazy to make these decisions sometimes, because there's so much risk involved and it's not an easy industry, the coffee industry. So going back to my question, I wanted to ask, when you were in finance, what was it that ultimately made you decide to go this route? Was there like a mentor you had, or was there somebody that influenced you to go this route, or did you just decide that you've always loved coffee and you wanted to go this way?
So I told Sergio, he was at that point, I think 25 and I was 27 or younger, 24 and 26. And I said to him, you're so young, you're 24. You could give yourself 2 years and try something you're very passionate about and fail. And even after failing, you will only be like 26 or 27. So you can even start then and go into law school or whatever. and it's never too late. And I think that was the defining point for me as well, because I was only 26 or 27. So I said, well, I could try it myself, and even if we fail and if we just lose 2 or 3 years of our lives, I'm still gonna be only like 30.
Yeah.
So I can go into business school. That was my other plan, going to a business school and do like an MBA,
Okay.
and then just keep going in my line. I was good at what I did before, so I know if I would stay there, I would have kept growing. So I think it was that, mainly the fact that we were so young and that we could just take 3 years to try something, and if it doesn't work, we can still start again.
Yeah, that's a good way to approach it. And for listeners, I think that's like a good way to look at it, because a lot of times people do worry about failure. And even me as a dentist, like I constantly think about that. But yeah, if you try it and it failed, you probably lose like 1 or 2 years, but you still have so many chances to go. So that's a good way to approach it. I did ask a lot of your employees and staff about you guys, and I learned a little bit secondhand through that. And I remember one of them was saying that you did have a mentor at some point that you learned a lot through in terms of like the coffee industry. Do you want to go further into that? Like, what was it that kind of let you go into coffee, and what made you decide that that was something you wanted to start eventually?
I think the mentors that we have had in coffee have been farmers,
Yeah.
and not in reality like mainly people that have taught us how to do coffee or set up a coffee bar or build the trailer. It was like mainly learning through failure and like understanding the basics. But we did have some mentors more on the business side here in Austin. One of them is actually Reina from Veracruz Natural, the other trailer that is parked right next to us.
My favorite taco spot.
And then many more that have come and help us and give us really important advice in crucial moments in our company.
Okay. Yeah, and when I say company, I only say it from a respect level. So I hope you guys don't take offense to that. But it is a
We love
company, and I think you guys grew it from such small grassroots, and I think it's beautiful. And for people that are listening to, not a lot of people live in Austin. Some people haven't experienced your coffee yet, and I think aside from being really delicious and incredibly high quality coffee, I think the message is what really drew me to you guys initially, and that's the reason why I came. I think it's something that's very far and few in Austin these days, or just anywhere, is to have a company that gives back to communities and sources a lot of their products from local farmers and people who are in dire need of it, especially in our world nowadays where everything is wholesale. And so I first off wanted to implore what you guys do. I think it's incredible that you put so much love into that, into taking care of the farmers and the communities. But I wanted to get a better understanding of how you guys do it. Like, what's the start to end of this whole process of getting your coffee?
Well, for us, it also like we always, everything we do, we try to go and ask, but why?
Yeah.
But why? But why? And the more you delve, the more you find possibilities to improve something. So if you just start by like asking, why does this coffee taste good? It could be, and if you start with a product like a latte, you can just think about, let's say, the milk that is used, and then the syrups, if any, or the coffee. And then, okay, now which milk and why is this milk important? Then you can start like going deeper and deeper and deeper, and that's what we did. And ultimately, it just went straight to the farm and to the producer, and even to asking ourselves, how does the soil impact the flavor of the coffee? How does the altitude, the minerals in the soil? So we kind of like became really obsessed over understanding how to get the best product. And for us was the only way to like really have an excellent product was to source only direct, because if we knew the people who produced it and we had that relationship with them and understood how they were doing their processes, then we can have a saying in like, hey, this does not taste as we want it to taste. Why? and understanding together with them. Sometimes it's not even that they are not doing a good job. It's sometimes a specific coffee is not the perfect for their land.
Yeah.
So I would say that's at the core, just having that straight connection to the producer. So that's how it works basically, like establishing that connection, buying only directly from them, knowing which coffee comes from which producer. It's a lot of work because of the same reason.
Yeah.
And then bringing it from the farm, I think that's not something anybody could do. We just can do it because we're from there and we know how to transport things
Yeah.
from these mountains to Bogota and then ship it here without the use of any intermediaries and then serve it directly to the public.
Yeah, and I wanted to mention one thing that you guys do as well is the cupping, which I think is really beautiful as part of the appreciation of the coffee and where it comes from and the blends. And you guys have, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have a traditional thing every Monday morning where you have customers, employees, staff, everyone try the different blends that you have, and they're locally sourced, obviously from Colombia, from different regions, and you'll go over all of the cups, which are all the cups filled with the different types of coffee. Is it more so you wanting to have your customers involved with understanding what you're doing, or was it just something that you've kind of developed over time?
Yeah, so it's called cupping. It's for coffee roasters. What you want to do is try and see consistency, try to change the roast profile for next time, and be able to measure in some sort of way how is your coffee tasting. So the idea was actually from Juan, and it was opening to the public. We used to do that before inside here to be able to check how we're doing, comparing the roast profiles that we had, and then making sure that we were maximizing the flavor of each coffee, but not trying to kind of like obtain something that was not natural to the coffee itself. So then the idea was to open it to the public since we were doing it already and making sure that people was understanding all the work that was done beforehand in serving it to the trailer to them. So yeah, it's kind of fun. It's at 8 a.m. on Mondays and we cap the roast profile that we have roasted the previous Monday. We will cap about 8 coffees, different processes, different varieties. They're all from single farms, individual varieties, and it's a really good experience so you can understand the different notes and profiles that a coffee can have.
Okay. The next thing I wanted to go over was Desnudo itself, the meaning of Desnudo, and how you guys came up with the origin of that name. What was the purpose behind it, and what are you trying to explain to customers with that name?
We always like have fun when describing it. People are like, "Oh, does that mean naked?" And we always like are goofy. We try to be authentic and like not be too serious about stuff. But at the core, we believe, and we always say this to every customer who comes, and it's the coffee has to be so good in its pure naked form that whatever we add to it makes it even better. That's at the core. And then it's also a philosophy because everything we do in connection to serving our customers has that mindset at heart. Because, for example, right now, the cookies that we do, Sergio has been making them and like being very intentional with each of the ingredients that he uses. The flour from Barton Springs Mill, the chocolate that we source ourselves from cacao farmers in Colombia, the pecans that we use, the way we process those pecans, the butter that we use. We want really good ingredients that in its purest naked form, these are really good ingredients that represent our brand. Using like grass-fed organic milk, it's more expensive, but that's what we believe. Like in the future, to sustain what we believe it's a beautiful world, we cannot be relying on chemical and synthetic fertilizers and pesticides and all of these things that really destroy the soil.
Yeah.
So that's at the core of like what desnudo means for us.
Okay. Sergio, do you have anything? It's a pretty good answer.
Yeah, I cannot beat that. So we will define it as a strip down, right? As he says, naked. Desnudo means naked in Spanish, and we wanted to portray that in every cup of coffee we give.
Yeah.
That's why we give samples of cold brewing line or drip coffee so people can take just black. And it is challenging for people to try black coffee because the American market is used to.
Yeah, no, and I'll say as like a customer, I'm not somebody that usually drinks black coffee. I don't. Like I have it sweet, milky, like I can't do, but
Yeah.
you guys are the first coffee place that every time I'm in line and you do give me those, like at first I was like, I'll give this to like my friend or whoever's next to me. But then like I started having them and now I look forward to them because it's for the first time I feel like the cool people who have black coffee, because before I was like, I don't know how these people drink things black, but you guys managed to add this like this purity to it. And it's also just, it's very special in that all of the blends taste the way you described them. And I think it's really beautiful how you're able to come up to me, describe the blend and what it's, where it comes from, what's in it, how it's supposed to taste. And I think that's like a level of service I haven't come across in any coffee shops lately. And we talked about this recently at a birthday party that there was this book that I've really enjoyed, that we both enjoyed. And I feel like the quality of service you guys provide comes down to that, is where you talk about the purity of the coffee and how high sourced everything is. But I think even your staff is highly sourced. I think everybody there is friendly, kind, always asking how your day is going. Like they're putting that extra effort into getting to know you. And I think that's the reason I've stayed. And that's the reason I come and look forward to getting the coffee is great, but it's also the service. And so I wanted to dive into whether that was intentional or you guys just naturally developed that just through your culture.
When we first started, I was very shy being like on register. Sergio was like really intentional about this aspect. And like recently we came across a notebook that he had where he would write down the names of the customers and put like keywords or things to remember each one. Like, for example, Hamza, he has a cute dog and things like this. And it's I think like that's at the DNA now, but it started then. And I think sometimes it just takes that. It takes one person to be really intentional about something. And like he got me out of my comfort zone in terms of being more welcoming, as you say, more open to the people who come and visit us. But I was not by nature like that. Now, after like understanding how much of an impact that has on the people who visit us, we try to be we put a lot of effort into educating our staff on the impact they can have on people, on how important it is for us to keep that alive even when we're not there anymore.
So thank you, Sergio, for bringing that. Congrats on doing that. Because yeah, I think the coffee, honestly, it is the best coffee I've had. So thankfully that's not something that's like, it's not one or the other. It's both of them combined has really made me love coming there and also wanting to do this, because it's very rare that I go anywhere nowadays and feel this desire that I want to get to know everybody that works there. And I want to get to know how this coffee is made and like the origin behind it, because the message is beautiful. So I personally want to say thank you for that, because you gave me, as somebody that's going to own a practice one day, the sense of wanting to do something similar in that sense, like leaving impressions and having people leave me with a feeling rather than just being treated. So I think that's beautiful.
That's like something really important for us, because we define as one of the things we really wanted to do was to inspire. So I'm really happy that you're saying that this has inspired you to also do better at what you do.
Yeah, I think it has, and I know multiple people that have been there that I've referred to go try you guys, and I've never had one person leave and say, yeah, it was like overhyped or it's not worth it. So I think you guys have not only lived up to your reputation, but surpassed it. And I think I've even had friends that admittedly were like, this coffee was too sweet or whatever, but I really enjoyed going there and talking to them, and I'm gonna try another coffee. And, like, it makes them want to come back to try everything else. So I wanted to go into the coffee now. So as I mentioned, I'm a sweet tooth. I love sweet coffee and milky coffee, and I think you guys have made some of the most interesting choices with your flavor profiles. I think most people, when they're listening to this, they're probably thinking like, oh, he probably gets like a vanilla latte or something. But no, like the stuff they make is so interesting that I've never tasted this stuff before. Like it's the umami flavor profile kind of stuff where it tastes parts of my like flavor profiles I didn't even know existed with coffee. And so I wanted to go into how you guys come up with those and what the inspiration is behind them. And if there's any specific drinks you want to talk about that started it or anything in particular.
I think it's been a team effort in everything we do. So even from sourcing the best milks, we do a lot of tests and see which one is the best and which one will pair better with our coffee. Same with the syrups for the vanilla like latte that we have. We did like probably 10, 12 trials to be able to make sure that that was the best vanilla latte that someone could have ever in their lives. So then we were slowly people wanted more. Not that we wanted more, we wanted to have even less. But the market just asks you for more, and just there's some ideas that some people spark, and then we go deep into them and we try to maximize every flavor we have. So the one that people love the most is the brown sugar miso. That one is an infusion of brown sugar and miso paste. That is the fermentation of soy. In that one, we wanted to kind of like balance that sweetness of the brown sugar and bring the umami. So umami is the fifth flavor. It kind of like coats your tongue and just bring that extra, I don't know, flavor that you are not able to easily get. You get it with like tomatoes or fermented foods or so. It's something different that in coffee paired well. We didn't know at the beginning, and then slowly realized that that was something that we could like develop a little bit more. So the fermentations, Juan brought the idea of the blueberry latte as a fermentation of blueberries that will also bring that umami, and just naturally we don't want to add like other things that will enhance flavors like artificial at all. We don't want to do that. Only the pure, as our name says, desnudo, flavor of the fermentation that will bring that extra umami.
Okay. So with the fermentation process, I think that's something new for a lot of people to know that you can incorporate in coffee. What was it that inspired you to do fermentation? I felt like that's a very specific choice to make. And also, can you describe the process of that and how you come up with what, recently you did a peach one. Like, what was it that inspired you to do peach versus strawberry or anything else?
Fermentation is key in coffee, and it happens at the processing level. So
Mhm.
all the coffee that you ever taste, most of the coffee you ever taste, has been fermented at some point at
Okay.
the farm. It's part of the process. Coffee being a fruit, to be able to remove that fruit from the seed, fermentation has to occur to make the process easier. And then later it was discovered that also imparts flavor and can improve how it tastes. So I think that aspect also sparked some wondering around how that fermentation, bringing it here to the level of the flavor development, can have an impact on our drinks. Mm, so I think that's where it came from, and then we just started exploring. I think the first iterations we did was the blueberry one. The We did one test with honey and mango and chilies. That's like inspired by this restaurant in Copenhagen that is pretty famous, known as Noma, and they are one of those pioneers in fermentation. So we just took that and kind of like put it into coffee to see how it would affect it. And we went from there. And yeah, I think that's kind of like how we got to this point. The peachy latte the use of peaches was more inspired by the fact that in Texas, that's one of the fruits that grows locally. So we wanted to start playing with the seasonality
Okay.
of the ingredients too. But the type of fermentation is also the same as we would do in the blueberry one.
Besides the fermentation, when you guys are picking the flavor profiles and kind of coming up with what's going to go to the public, how do you guys determine as a, partners, or like what is the determining factor to decide that this is going to be put out into the public?
We, after doing the many tests, we will actually bring it to the team, and I think we all collectively decide if it's good enough.
Okay.
Uh,
You have like a cupping, but between
yeah,
your company.
between the team, and then everyone tries it, brings ideas like this could be improved, that could be improved, and then we all together basically develop the final.
But the recent one, the peach one, it had Lily's name in it, so I'm assuming Lily came up with it. Lily is one of their staff members. So, is that one of the influences behind it?
Yeah, she was the one that came up with the idea of using peaches and honey and salt. She actually did a test on her own. She brought us a finished product. We tested it and we were like, "Oh, this is pretty good." That was last year.
Wow.
So it just stayed in our head for a year.
Yeah.
But peach season was over, so we're like, okay, we'll try next year. And then this year, we just did it. And the version she came up with, we had to actually like, okay, but what's this gonna look like in production?
Yeah.
And even like it got to the point where Sergio like did some like refinements at the end, like some, I don't know how many iterations at the end we did, like 5 or 6 iterations where we would like bring it. We hadn't launched it officially, tasted it with the team, as we said, okay, this could be improved this way, this way. So he would bring it back, do some changes, bring and ferment it again, wait until fermentation was ready, bring it again, iterate. So it was like it took
Like
a long time to
multiple
develop
stages.
that one.
Okay. How long did you think it took from the moment of starting that to bring it to production for public?
I think it was like 4 weeks
Okay.
that we wanted to launch it before, just because, like, for example, right now we're changing from peach season to apple season
Oh,
already.
wow.
So it did take us a while, just because we wanted to, again, maximize the flavors. And the idea was, at the end, was to kind of like do a peaches and cream type of.
And I'm assuming
Okay.
that you, because of Desnudo and the whole purity aspect of it, you wanted to source the peaches from somewhere that was also done well, right? So where were the peaches sourced from?
So they're the farm is called Top of Texas,
Okay.
and they do basically have like peaches orchards and apples and that kind of like seasonality. So yeah, it's really local. They use like organic practices, and it's beautiful.
Awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love peaches so much. So it was it was a great, interesting first time trying it because I've never tasted fermented peaches to begin with, and then adding that to coffee added a new layer of. So it's fun because every time I come to you guys now, you introduce me to these new flavor experiences that I've never had before, like shoyu butterscotch, boggy berry, like the bitterness profile. I don't drink, so for me, like that bitterness and fermentation is new to me. So it's been very interesting to experience that. The other thing I wanted to bring up is you guys are now doing so well that you're opening a new truck downtown. Do you want to kind of dive deeper into the approach to that? Are you doing anything different at this new truck, or is it going to be the same thing?
We love to just test and see how things go. So we don't know what we want to do.
Okay.
We'll just open and see how it goes. Of course, in the beginning, we'll have like a more reduced menu while we figure out logistics, storage, all of this. But we're honestly open to whatever happens.
Where do you guys see yourself in 5 years, maybe? Do you guys see yourself building a brick and mortar, or do you like the truck aspect of it? Do you feel like that's more aligned with you guys?
I think I personally like the trailer
Me too.
aspect. The fact that we're in Austin and people here have a very strong appreciation for the trucks,
Trucks,
for
yeah.
food trucks is something. And I love, as personally, like to go and have food at trucks is one of my favorite things to do. I like the informality of it. I don't like pretentiousness. So, it's just a good product. That's all I care, a good service. So I don't care if the place looks fancy or not. For me, what matters is other aspects of going to somewhere. So we like that as long as we're able to continue having you know the fact that being in a trailer gets you exposed to cold or heat. It's also a thing to consider, but in general, if it's not out of control, we like that. I like that.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to even like your Desnudo, like the purity aspect. Like I feel like it's the purest form of service. Like you don't need the bells and whistles. It's just what you need to be present for good service. So we talked about your guys' attention to service and taking care of your customers. You almost treat the customers like family, and I feel like it's so much so now that you guys developed the run club and the yoga club. Was that also something that you guys had always wanted to have incorporated, or was it something that kind of developed itself naturally over time? I like that you guys are always wanting to share with each other the answers.
So I think those are like also related to what I just said before. We just like to try stuff.
Yeah.
The Run Club had been in our minds for a while. We just kept pushing back on it. And then one day we said, what, let's just do it tomorrow. And
Yeah.
we just started it like overnight. And it has been like so fun ever since. The yoga club was actually Lily's idea. And we were also like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Why not? So as long as it's aligned with our principles, we're open to any ideas, and we try to get the team to participate and let them know that they can also help us build this, because not all of the ideas need to come from us.
What would you say? I know a lot of businesses sometimes have something on their wall, whether it's a motto or a theme or a quote to live by. Does Desnudo have any of those in their truck?
Yeah. We have one.
Okay.
It's painted on the trailer.
What does it say?
It says change is possible one farm at a time.
Okay.
And we always said we want to change the world. But if you think about changing the world all at once, it's impossible.
Yeah.
But we say if you do it, if everybody would do a little change in their own lives, we could all change the world.
Yeah.
So in our case for coffee, we say that if we change the life of one farmer or one farm, we're changing their world. And if we do it with two farmers, then we're changing two worlds. And we change the lives of millions of farmers, then we're changing the world. So
that's beautiful.
Kind of like the end goal.
Nice.
Of this. I mean, if we grow to work with more producers,
Do you see yourself expanding to farmers beyond Colombia, or do you feel like because of your origins, you want to focus on Colombia as a source?
I think we ask this question a lot because there is many origins that could give us amazing coffees and that we could also make a change in their lives. But we think that we have to stay true to our mission. And right now we can do what we do because of our cousin, Juan Manuel, that he's over there in the farms, working with the farmers every day and trying to understand how to do better processing, better fermentation, what type of equipment do we need to make that possible. And so by doing it in other countries, we'll have to have someone like that to be able to know the farmers, not only create this type of like monetary relationship, but really family relationships that will be able to achieve what we're trying to do.
Okay. And in terms of I know you source locally from farmers. When you were originally planning to start Desnudo, I spoke to Juan briefly about this, but what was it that made you guys decide on Austin as the place to start initially versus other cities in America?
This is really fun, but you need to answer. So because of my background, I was very structured in the way I approached things.
Being a finance bro?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I made my lists and my checklists.
Your Excel spreadsheet?
I would love to find that spreadsheet. I've been trying to find it. I haven't found. But basically, like, going into you Google like what's the best city to move in the US and stuff like that, and every source tells you something different. So I gathered like multiple answers to that, and then we established some variables that were important for us, like education, average age, average income, how much of a walkable city is that one, and different variables. And then we rated them, all of them, and made a list and organized them by the things that were more important for us. And Austin was in the top five. So that's kind of like how it came to be. From that top five, Sergio visited those top five, all of them, I think, or the top four. And basically, out of them, it was more like which one feels like home. And Austin felt like home and still feels like home. It's like
Yeah.
we're so happy that we chose Austin. We feel
Yeah, I think even the coffee culture in Austin is pretty good. I think that there's a really good community of it here. I think the appreciation of it is also strong. I think the only other cities I can compare it to is maybe Seattle. Seattle was one of that on your top five.
yeah.
Yeah. And then I know you've mentioned that LA and New York were not on there. Is it because of just how saturated it is? And
Yeah, and like that huge city vibe where we wanted more smaller communities. Where in Austin, we always say it feels like a big neighborhood. We just see our customers in the grocery store and, in the lake and in the river and in the pool. And that closeness to people is something we really like about here. And I don't think we could have that and in one of these huge cities.
okay, so let's say this is usually my problem is when I'm trying to describe Desnudo to friends or people that want to come try it. I have my bias because I'm like, oh, I love the drinks. You can talk to them there and have a great time, but I'm not great at describing things. So if you were to describe to the listener who hasn't been to Austin yet and wants to try Desnudo, what's your elevator pitch for them to come try it?
And then okay. Uh,
What I guess just to simplify it, what separates Desnudo from other coffee shops in Austin? Like what makes it special there besides everything we just talked about? What to you makes Desnudo special to you to service others?
I think for me, it will have to be the creativity behind the drinks. We, all of our drinks are not too sweet. They're very different to what's in the market. It takes more effort and more time, but we're willing to do it because for us, it's really important that the customer leaves feeling so happy and like having an experience that they cannot have anywhere else. We want to be the best. We want our coffee to be the best that they have ever tried. And I mean, the most important aspect is the fact that all of our coffee comes directly from the producer. So having that connection to them really and let us know them and understand how what we do can really have an impact in their lives. So I think the fact that people are willing to support us is really good because it directly supports the producer as well.
Okay.
I think I would start it by saying that we don't call ourselves baristas, we call ourselves magicians. And it comes basically on the customer experience that we want to have every day because we want to make every person's day. We want them to not only get the best drink, but also to get the best customer experience so they can enjoy their day. And then they'll come back to get that again. And the thing is that we're not only giving, but we're also receiving. We're also getting that same energy from our customers, and they're also giving us things that we didn't even ask. So it is a connection with the customer that you're not getting anywhere, and it's a really authentic connection. So maybe it's the authenticity that we provide to our customers.
That's beautiful. And I can vouch just as somebody that deals with anxiety and depression and stuff like that. I think one of the few things I look forward to every now and then is visiting you guys. And just to tell you from a personal level, like I look forward to those mornings when I come to see you guys. And it means a lot to me to have like just that little bit of positivity, even if my day I know is going to be stressful or something's going to go wrong later on or whatever, I still have these brief moments of like that joy and happiness of coming to see you guys. And when you guys see me, you always come say hi and like talk for a bit. And I think that's a beautiful part of customer service that like unfortunately is becoming more rare in our world. And I think you're inspiring others to in the service industry start getting better at that. And then you're also inspiring customers and people and bringing about smiles in their day. And I'm a testament to that because, you know, I'm doing this podcast because of the feeling you inspired in me to want to have you on it. So, yeah, I think that's a good place to end it. I just want to say thank you both for joining me on this. I really appreciate it. I know you guys are busy with your new office, and I'm very thankful to have you on here. Do you guys want to end it on anything?
I don't think so from my side. I mean, maybe I'm glad that that's what you feel when you come to visit us because that's what we want. And it gives us like so much happiness to know that even when we're not there, that Desnudo as a brand, as a company is able to provide that because that's our biggest fear of growing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm very picky about what I wear. I'm very loyal to products I wear or things I own. And this hat is one of them. It's like I wouldn't wear this hat if it wasn't because I loved and appreciate you guys for who you are. So yeah, what I was saying is I'm again a testament to how much I believe in you guys as a product and a business and as people because I told you guys I wanted to get this hat because I was proud to wear it and share not only like Desnudo as a company, but also just like it's something I love and believe in, just like a lot of the things I wear, whether it's soccer jerseys for the teams I love or shoes, sneakers that I love. So I think you guys are doing a great thing. I think it's beautiful what you guys have created. And I just want to say thank you for bringing Desnudo into the world and into Austin. And I really wish you guys nothing but success in the future and hopefully can continue this friendship that I can watch you guys grow as it goes on. So, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Hamza. Thank you, Hamza.
All right, thanks, guys, for listening. And this is Hanging Out with Hamza, and we'll tune in next time. Take care.